know that when you buy a slice of banana bread at somewhere like a cafe or McDonald's, Starbucks or Gloria Jean's, there is 40 grams of sugar per serve, per slice. That's not 40 grams of carbs, that's 40 grams of sugar. That is 10 teaspoons. So here, the only sugar we have is completely natural. We're getting the sweetness from the banana, and we can sweeten it extra if we want to with that maple syrup or honey. Hey everyone, let's make a healthy banana bread together with your Thermomix. And this is not just any old regular banana bread because it's Thermofit, it's grain-free, it's gluten-free, it's refined sugar-free, and it is additive-free. It's much better for you than what you can find store-bought. So if you are currently buying banana bread, stop it right now and make this one instead. You will never look back. This recipe, the cinnamon banana bread, is from my latest Healthy Treats Volume 2 ebook, where you can get over 30 healthy sweet recipes to satisfy your sweet craving and do it guilt-free. Now, because this recipe is a Thermofit recipe, you've probably already guessed that it's not your everyday banana bread. It is grain-free, gluten-free, refined sugar-free. The dairy is optional, and it's free from all of those nasty additives, preservatives, colors, and everything else that you can find in a store-bought banana bread. So let's get into it. Now, I'll provide the recipe link so that you can make this recipe on your Created Collections guided in Cookie Dough, but you can also make it manually really easy. So for step one, you are going to preheat your oven and grease and line a loaf tin, or I like to use a silicone tray because you don't have to put any baking paper on it and it just comes out really nice and easy. First up, we're doing a healthier flour. So instead of a grain and wheat and gluten-filled flour that's usually in banana bread, we are going to use a blend of almonds and cassava flour. So first step, popping in 100 grams of almonds. Now we're just going to mill those, grind them down to make that beautiful fine almond flour. Just 10 seconds on speed 9. So 10 seconds, we've got the perfect almond meal. Now we're going to add to that our cassava flour. If you haven't heard of cassava flour before, it's made from the whole root of the cassava plant, and it's kind of a little bit like a tapioca or an arrowroot. It works a little bit like that. So it's perfect if you don't like the usual gluten-free flours. Sometimes they can be really dense and heavy, but I find cassava flour is a perfect balance to make it feel like you're having something that is regular wheat. And so it's light and fluffy and it's not dense, but it's completely gluten-free and really good for you. Okay, now we're just gonna add the bicarb, the salt, and the cinnamon. I'm using 2 teaspoons of cinnamon here, but if you are not a fan, you can definitely just reduce it, or you can even increase it if you really want to, but 2 teaspoons is perfect in my opinion. So just mixing that through on 6 seconds, speed 3.5. That's all mixed through now. We are just going to set the dry ingredients aside and get started on the wet stuff. Now just remember, if you're ever looking at a recipe and converting it into a Thermomix recipe and you've got wet and dry, you always want to do the dry ingredients first so that you can set them aside and do the wet without washing the mix and drying the mixing bowl. So if you did it the other way around, you're gonna have to unless you've got 2 bowls, you're gonna have to totally wash and completely dry before you mill some ingredients. So keep that in mind. Next up, we're gonna add the banana. So 400 grams of banana. I'm using some organic ladyfinger bananas today because I just find ladyfingers are so much sweeter than the regular bananas, but honestly, use whatever bananas, just make sure that they are ripe. We've got 80 grams of softened butter. Now, if you are dairy-free or want to be, you can easily exchange this for coconut oil. 2 eggs, 10 grams of vanilla. So this is a vanilla I actually made quite a few years ago, and I'm getting to the end. I'm gonna have to make some more soon. If you didn't know, you can just make your own vanilla with vodka and vanilla beans. But you need about 6 months until it's ready. Yes, I made this in 2021. All right, now your sweetener. In the recipe, I've got maple syrup, but I actually didn't have any on hand. So you can use honey, you can use, which I'm using now. I have some raw local honey. So you can use honey, you can use maple syrup, you can use a agave or a rice malt syrup, or even some coconut sugar. It's really up to you. And actually, in saying that, you don't even probably need this sweetener. If you really want to reduce it, then you can just leave out that altogether, because the bananas should be sweet enough. Okay, so all we need is 9 seconds to mix that up. Speed 4. Time to add the dry ingredients back in and mix 10 seconds, speed 3. Now we just scrape down the sides and repeat that. Right, so we're ready to pour it in. So now optional toppings. I like to put a bit of sliced banana on top, and because this is a cinnamon banana bread, I'm gonna add a little, what I call kind of like a cinnamon crunch on top. So first we'll put some slices of banana. This is completely optional. And for the last bit, we're going to put on some cinnamon and a little bit of coconut sugar, just to give it that real little bit of like a cinnamon crunch on top. But when I say a little bit, I mean a little bit. There's probably only like a teaspoon left in here, and I'm only gonna use about half of that. All right, there we go, we're good for the oven. So we're just gonna pop this in and bake it for around 40 minutes or until a skewer comes out clean. Alrighty, this banana bread is done and it smells absolutely delicious. I wish you could smell it from there. But we've made this a healthier version. We've got no gluten, no grains, no refined sugar, no vegetable oils, no emulsifiers, flavors, none of that nasty stuff. So make sure you try out this recipe from my Volume 2 Healthy Treats ebook, where you can nourish yourself without weighing yourself down.